Professional gamblers, news and notes for Friday NFL preseason football have been released. The preseason primer is here, brought to you by OffshoreInsiders.com. We started out with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Remember, all the top picks are at OffshoreInsiders.com, including the power of more than 620 sports services behind each and every selection, the Master Lock Line. It is rookie quarterback Blake Bortles has been looking sensational, making a big battle at quarterback with journeyman Chad Henne for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jags starting running back Toby Gerhart is out. Injuries have slowed down the wide receiver core for Jacksonville. Cecil Shorts and Allen Robinson are both out with injuries. Justin Blackman and Sanders are going to be suspended when the season opens. So Jacksonville's really got to look deep and see who can play for them at that wide receiver position. Tampa, though, their first-year head coach Lovie Smith. They're very raw but fairly deep on the offensive line. Chemistry, though, expected to be an issue at first, at least, in the trenches. The Bucs do have tons of depth at running back with Doug Martin. He leads a deep unit, and that includes Mike James. Bobby Rainey, rookie Charles Sims, plus former track star Jeff Demps also trying to squeeze his way in for some playing time. Philadelphia and Chicago, Jordan Palmer and Jimmy Clausen are currently competing for the number 2 spot in Chicago. Obviously, the overrated Jay Cutler, the number 1 man. Rookie 6th-round draft pick David Fales expected to make the roster spot. At number 3, wide receiver Marquez Wilson is out for Chicago. Only 2 catches in the only 2 catches last year as a rookie, but was really expected to make a big run this year. Will revenge play a factor in the preseason? Keep in mind, the Eagles dominated a Chicago team that was fighting for its playoff lives last December, 54-11. Nick Foles obviously lock as a starting quarterback for Philadelphia, but there's a little bit of a solid battle for backup Mark Sanchez versus Matt Bradley. Sanchez has been the better in camp so far. Eagles coach Chip Kelly said the starters will play somewhere between 10 and 15 snaps. That could change depending on how the game goes. Wide receiver Riley Cooper is doubtful. Wide receiver Jeremy Maclin is questionable to probable. Don't look for Philadelphia to get too conservative with Darren Sproles. Chip Kelly said he's not worried about the game film. Everybody knows what he's capable of doing, but he wants to try to mix him into the offense. Jordan Matthews, a second-rounder wide receiver, has been sensational for Philadelphia and part of a very deep wide receiving core. Remember, Joe Duffy's Picks, the NFL specialist. Joe Duffy's Picks, the home is at OffshoreInsiders.com. The Bills and the Panthers. Buffalo does have a game under their belt, their Hall of Fame loss to the Giants. Head coach Doug Marrone seemed a bit more irked than most coaches after a preseason loss, especially with his offense. The starting defense held the Giants scoreless, though the backups gave up 2 touchdowns. The 3 offensive skill positions that missed the Giants game, though, should play Marquise Goodman, tight end Scott Chandler, and tight end Tony Moeaki. Remember, Buffalo is very thin at that position entering the game. We told you about that on the preseason primer last week. Quarterback situation pretty much entrenched for the Bills. E.J. Manuel, Thad Lewis, Jeff Toole. Toole may turn up the heat a bit, though, for the backup spot. Toole finished 12 out of 17 for 74 yards last week with 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Lewis signed off the practice squad last year, did play fairly well in limited starting chances, but bottom line is he has only 189 passes in 2 years with 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So the backup quarterback position may turn into a decent battle. Dolphins and the Falcons here, OffshoreInsiders.com. More news and notes. Steven Jackson is out for Atlanta running back. Likewise, Miami's number 1 running back, no Sean Moreno, also out. Finns are very thin at the running back position. Starting tight end Charles Clay for Miami is questionable to doubtful. Clay ranks 7th overall in receptions at his position with 69, scored 6 touchdowns, so that's no small injury. Mike Wallace is back for Miami, and he should be available. Dolphins starting quarterback Ryan Tannehill struggled a bit in training camp. And, despite Wallace missing some playing time, they're trying to get those 2 guys to play a little bit more together. Miami without their best offensive lineman, Mike Pouncey, of course, Keep in mind last year the whole Jonathan Martin, where he was a starter, and we all know about that, and then Richie Cognito kicked off of the team, so they are completely built, Miami is, on the offensive line. We're also told that Falcons rookie sensation Bernard Reedy was a star of the offseason and has looked great in camp. He is expected to get an extended look on Friday. Atlanta has a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. Atlanta has also rebuilt their offensive line. All the best picks at offshoreinsiders.com, www.offshoreinsiders.com. The Saints and the Rams. Saints stud quarterback Drew Brees missed a lot of practice time, but he has not been ruled out officially. Either way, second-year quarterback Ryan Griffin is expected to get a lot of playing time. Now, there's been some worrying that the Rams' defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, could pull out all the stops against the Saints, as his contract was not renewed after being the center of Bountygate. Tight end Jimmy Graham said the team even watched tape of the Saints' 2011 preseason opener against San Fran when Williams was a defensive coordinator and infamously and relentlessly blitzed the 49ers, leading to 5 first-half sacks. In fact, Wednesday's practice included several individual full-speed protection drills, so they are more than aware of it. Rookie Brandon Cooks has been the star of training camp for the Saints. He's a receiver. Jeff Fisher has ruled out Jake Long, who's returning from a torn ACL from the Rams. He said he's very unlikely the quarterback Sam Bradford or center Scott Wells will be on the field. So the quarterback rotation will be Sean Hill, Austin Davis, Garrett Gilbert for the Rams. The Raiders and the Vikings. Vikings first action will under Mike Zimmer, but he said he will keep it simple. That's not really that small of an announcement. It's no surprise, but a lot of first-year coaches tend to mix things up. He said the quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will get some first-team snaps on Friday night as the Vikings try to see where the rookie is in the competition with Matt Castle for the starting job. Castle expected to start. The game is at the Vikings' temporary home at the University of Minnesota. Bridgewater has gotten rave reviews so far. Journeyman Christian Ponder, number 3. Vikings are in line to have the same 11 starters on offense they had last December. It's a strong chance Minnesota, though, could have as many as 7 new starters on defense from last year, so the offense continuity, the defense not so much. Many believe the Raiders have added as much talent in the offseason as any, but it's a bunch of veterans. Quarterback Matt Shaw, running back Maurice Jones-Drew, wide receiver James Jones, quite a few offensive linemen, and cornerbacks. But the question handicappers must ask, will they try to display that in the preseason, or will it really come the proving come regular season time? Remember, all the late-breaking information, podcast, and more. Visit offshoreinsiders.com. Even if you bet on your own late-breaking information at Offshore Insiders, you certainly want to subscribe to our Twitter feed at Offshore Insider. Notice that singular Offshore Insider, no S. Just limited in the number of characters, but subscribe to the Twitter feed. It's going to make you a fortune.